Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Hey everyone, this is Dan, and this is the end of Cyberpunk Red Rising. We made it, kind of.
We all made it.
We all made it.
Yeah, spiritually.
You
Players made it.
Traditional happy ending of a dystopian future.
Could be worse.
We're all in store for. So what we're going to do in this kind of wrap up is we're going to go over.
Are we not going to go around and introduce the other people, or is it just,
we're going to do that. We'll get there. Actually, since everyone's dead, it's just me. This is that. That's
So I'm
it.
saying Dan made it.
Yeah. So who's here with me?
What's good, fam? Matt here. Playing myself.
And who did you play in the game?
Ooh, so many characters. There was Mazzinho. There was Mister. That was it. That was
Yeah.
Technically, there was another, but we won't.
Oh, yeah. The lost tapes.
Oh, yeah.
The directors.
Didn't Mister have two friends that he brought with him?
Jane and Fonda. Yeah, but they don't talk.
They don't talk.
okay.
Non-speaking role.
Well, they
just-
talk, but you don't understand.
They just
what
yell.
they're saying.
You played that weatherman.
That's true. Bill Heather.
Bill Heather.
Right?
This is Jake, and I played Fish, William Pisces, and I also played Sir Rat, and I played Big Al.
Boy, did he. Hey, guys, it's John. I played /Root and Yuri, and that's basically all I played. I don't think I played anyone else. Even in the beginning one, I played / before. Yeah.
That's right.
Oh,
In
yeah.
the 4 times.
You got that AV company to invest in the podcast.
I did.
Too.
I
You
did. Yeah, Zeta
Sick.
Tech. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you again, Zeta Tech. And this is Devin. I played Switch, and then I played Bugbear, and then Meowser.
Wow.
Meowser's my next next Cyberpunk character.
Oh, no.
Shit.
I think at the top here, first and foremost, I want to thank our unpaid intern, Josh, for doing all the editing work. One day, he'll move up from editor or intern
He'll get there someday.
into,
I mean,
A
we'll
contributing
talk
player.
about that off the
We're
mic,
paying-
whether
we're-
or not we want to let him play.
He's being paid in experience. You know.
wow.
Josh, you can cut this.
Love you, buddy.
Josh, can you cut this?
Did Matt? I'm sorry. Did Josh do all the editing for this arc?
No, that's actually a great point. We had Andrew jump in on some of the early editing, adding some
The real hero.
gangbang sound effects.
The ether bass tones.
Yeah,
That
there was
was
some great stuff
No,
there.
that was pre-tariffs, right? We
Yeah,
couldn't-
yeah.
we can't afford it.
post-tariffs.
Andrew
Right,
is
right,
Canada.
okay.
He is Canadian, so we had to. Yeah, we couldn't afford
the
it.
last
anymore.
free country in the.
Andrew, shout out to you, my friend.
Yeah, it was
Thank you.
amazing.
Thanks, bud.
Redo your attic. We're gonna need it.
Where we're moving in.
Okay, so a couple of things I would like to start off with. The first one, I want to. There's something I did relatively well over the course of playing this campaign.
Oh my God, here we go. 2 hours of
No,
Dan
no,
Daddy stroking himself over
No,
here.
it's-
How good I did.
You know what it is? You know what this is? This is the scenes that I did not make up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. These are the scenes
Restraint.
that you guys, because of who you are and what you did, chose a different path other than the one I've
correct
written.
path, you
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
the correct path.
I have some grievances too. I've written down. Dan,
Okay,
so
okay.
we'll
We'll get to
share
those.
this.
But I'm just going to list. I'm going to list a couple of scenes. There's, I think, 5 or 6 here in total that really stood out to me. One is the toilet scene.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So
That was
good.
fun.
That was fantastic.
That
was
the
early
one,
days.
That's the one we use in the trailer. Like once we filmed
Yeah.
everything, that we put that in the trailer.
The second one was the hospital scene. Did not
so
you had
good.
tracked down her insurance package, Jake, and ended up going to the hospital. Which
So that was like an entire episode off script.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Absolutely. There was a little detail too from very early on, the necklace that Bugbear grabbed.
Yeah.
It turned into the security footage, which kind of snowballed into some other things. But I mean, that whole scene too, where you knock over his family pictures.
I just wanted to spite. I think
Yeah,
Bugbear
just
just wanted to
out of
spite him, just to like, just take something that's his.
The one of the last two I have here, I call it the Schrodinger's tracking device. I did not plan to put a tracking device in the Land Rover, but you look for one, so there was one. And it's a great thing. Like what I like about players who are trying to think outside the box, who are trying to cover contingencies and stuff like that. As a GM, you can just roll with it.
Yeah.
You can just be
Yeah, that is right.
absolutely. I absolutely thought to do that. And then the other big one was the aerial combat that you guys did out over Yuri's. I thought you guys were going to drive out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole, luckily I had some time to prepare for that one.
I know you were really sweating that fight.
Yes.
You were really worried that was the end of the campaign.
Yeah.
Correct. Because
It almost was.
Rightfully so.
looking at the kind of the everyday heroes chase mechanics, going down in a flying vehicle is really bad.
Did you have a plan, Dan, for that? Like if we just totally failed that encounter, besides ending the campaign early?
The easiest thing would be to jump back to the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
And so that was the real kind of last ditch fallback, so to speak, if that had gone really terribly wrong, which I thought like right off the rip too, when the crits were rolling in on the AV and things like that. But we made it through. And actually that brings me to sort of my next thing that I want to talk about. Some of these, I have a list of things also too that I wish I had maybe done a little differently or told differently. And I'd like to get your feedback on it. One of them was the Four Horsemen. I think off the rip, those four characters were really good. I think that they synergized well, and it was a lot of chaos. It was a lot of kind of classic cyberpunk dynamics. And it was a really hard decision for me to decide, hey, we're going to drop them,
Scrap them,
and hunt them. Because the whole game had been written for another set of characters, which was a session 0, which we refer to very late in the arc, about some guys that got jumped at the cage. And that's why the Aldecado were looking for someone. That whole thing was a session 0 that we played for Cyberpunk. We actually played Cyberpunk Red, the real game mechanics, not Everyday Heroes, to see how it felt.
Yep.
And we decided to switch to Everyday Heroes. So we had dropped it completely as it was a whole new rule set, but the storyline had picked up there. What do you guys think about the switching of the characters and then even towards the end, sort of going back to them fighting yourselves?
Yeah.
How did it feel?
I liked it. I mean, I knew we obviously knew from the beginning, at least with the Four Horsemen, that it was a one shot to get an idea of whether or not Everyday Heroes was going to be the system for us. So we kind of went into it knowing it was a one shot and probably the character would die or some tragic ending. So I wasn't necessarily too bummed. And I like Slash. I mean, I think I was the only person who had the character transition from Cyberpunk Red to Everyday Heroes, because Slash was in the original session 0,
correct,
as the rocker boy, and I now he's the icon in Everyday Heroes. So he was the character I wanted to play because it was kind of outside of what I normally play, a arrogant, narcissistic rocker, punk kid,
Hacker, of course. Remember.
hacker. Well, that's more akin to what I actually do, but I gotta have some of the familiarity.
I loved playing all of the characters. Great, awesome, cool. But I lament the character I did not play.
I'm sure.
I'm not going to say much about him because maybe he's probably out in Night City somewhere.
I think he's on ice, bud.
No, he's fine.
He's fine.
Switch was cool. I liked playing, sort of the wizard character. I've never played Cyberpunk before. I haven't really played the game. I've watched people stream it. Shout out Mr. Dante on Twitch. But I like the idea of like this, you know, cyber wizard, like who can, you know, do whatever he wants. And then with my second character, I went the other side of cyber, you know, enhancement and just like physical, you know, crazy power arms and cyber brain and shit like that. It was fun. I got all the chrome I could.
I loved it. I thought it was a really great way to make us feel like we were part of the story that was being told, because we came up with, you know, these characters that we ended up hunting and the personalities, and so much of that like drove like the places that we went to and the way that we like kind of investigated them and stuff. And it gave it like so much more depth and allowed us to just kind of jump into it like having a better handle on it, I think, because a big part of that intro game was we're like, you know, we're going to do this instead of a session 0. We're going to just jump in with these characters that we kind of just came up with on the fly. And what a great group of characters that we came up with at the table just before we started playing. You know, we just jumped right in. And I think for me, like the kind of the whole time I was playing Fish, I was like, I'd rather be playing Surrat. I mean, Surrat was just more of your kind of quintessential cyberpunk character. Like almost, and I think cyberpunk characters tend to be almost like superheroes, you know, like over the top, like flashy and just larger than life. And I did kind of want I wanted Fish to be a foil to that. And so that was fun. I didn't expect us to play the characters, the second group of characters, as long as we did. I thought we were going to switch back at some point.
Yeah, there was a couple of opportunities where I thought about it, but I didn't want it to get too kind of far out there, because you could kind of do big swings of actions and none of that. I hadn't really figured out the mechanics of the teleporting. I had started to hash out some things. It was aging all the characters. And it was the energy deficit that it was taking. So there were some mechanics there, but I figured I didn't want it to become too schizophrenic.
I think though that you handled it right. The right way.
I think one of the best things about playing those characters for a couple sessions and then hunting them, because we may have done this without having those characters played, but in a lot of these types of genres, the success of a mission isn't like capturing them. It's changing your heart, or you know, like in Bebop, they never get the guy. They
always end up helping the person.
There's always a hook at the end.
So there's at least that drive for us as players to care about the targets we're going after, even if our characters half of our characters don't.
There was an option too, where I was thinking at the end, you know, you had Militech on one side, you had Arasaka on the other. I thought that a third would be like, you know, screw the man, and somehow, you know, take that third route. But as we all know, it didn't quite end up that way.
Yeah. I enjoyed both. I liked Mister's high energy. That was a lot of fun. And you know, when it came to Mazzino, I think the only thing I didn't like about Mister was, you know, the mechanics of the SMG. It just doesn't have enough ammo to it to make it effective. So I was like, well, I'm just going to play somebody who has unlimited ammo and who is going to be just as fun.
Perfect. Very cool. Well, I'm glad it turned out all right. There's a couple of other things on here that are really just kind of notes that I wanted to share with you guys. One was that I only thought of it after the fact, but I really wish I had done this. That the teleportation, I've been reading about quantum entanglement and, as I said, Schrodinger's cat and a lot of other things like that having to do with the super collider. One, I wish instead of teleportation, It had been like I can't remember the name of it. That Hugh Jackman movie where every time he teleported, he created another version of himself.
Yeah.
So it would have been, you would have been creating multiple versions of each character.
Oh, crazy.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And the idea was going to be that if they ever came in contact with one another, one of them would disappear. So it was going to be, it was just going to be a much more complicated, kind of interesting dynamic. But I had in the original Four Horsemen scene, I had made it so that Sir Rat had actually teleported, that people had actually disappeared and returned.
Yeah.
There's still an iteration of them that's locked up at Militech.
Yeah, right. That was kind of the cool part. It was going to allow for you guys to also play them while still being captured.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of options there. Some other things, I realized sometimes I haven't run a big campaign for a long time. I think it's been a year or two since I ran one. But one of the things is give your players sometimes the information you want them to have. One of them, I was trying to start off the Iron Sights, Tiger Claws. You guys got there. But I was trying to, as a proxy war, I was trying to kind of tip that hand early. And you guys had just killed a bunch of the Iron Sights. You didn't take any of their weapons, any of their gear. You had done that before in different scenes, but there was going to be Barca's number was going to be in the Iron Sights phone or agent. And I also really wanted you to take some of their weapons, their Militech weapons, because I had the scene of Yuri looking at you guys in my head for a long time.
Yeah.
And if you guys had all been carrying Militech weapons, it would have been like, he just would have opened up.
Yeah.
And that was also, but that brings me to another point. There was two different paths there. You could have chosen Iron Sights or Tiger Claws. There was the option to have met up with either of them, and you guys happened to pick Tiger Claws. So, the other big one that was very funny to me, I wish I hadn't made the playground so
far away.
No, the opposite. I needed to make it further away because you guys thought you could get there, and that wasn't really my intention.
okay.
Was for you guys to really. The idea was that he was probably going to pull you to him, or I should say this: the pace of the game changed, and the meeting happened. So you guys kept trying to fit the playground before the meeting.
You gave us the hook, though.
I did.
Yeah,
I
for the playground.
For a long time. But then it just so happened that the pacing of the game, when you got the meeting for the Tiger Claws, you guys were going to miss it if you went all the way to the playground.
Right.
So it just became this very complicated thing for me to be like, nope, stop.
Yeah, I mean, and we were like, we're going to pull an all-nighter and fucking drive all the way there.
Exactly. Exactly. And the last two things, one, I wish I had brought Barca back in. I really leaned into Arasaka, but I wish I had brought Barca back in with the Iron Sights. He was just kind of a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
But, and the last one is my apology to Matt, blowing someone's leg off. I wish I had put you at a hit point, or that you were still up, because the critical rules, which we really didn't get to do much of.
True.
The idea was to make it so it wasn't necessarily deadly, but the whole idea of Cyberpunk replacing parts and things are fast,
having actual consequences to losing hit points.
Yeah. I think that would have been cooler. You would have been in the scene, but this all kind of relates to another topic that I want you guys to weigh in on, which is the system of everyday heroes and using it for Cyberpunk. There are a couple of different things that I'd like to talk about game mechanic wise. Is there anything that you felt everyday heroes couldn't capture in terms of Cyberpunk?
I mean, we kind of patched in what we thought it wouldn't handle, which is the humanity and strain from cybernetics. And then, some of the more gruesome critical hits, and it's D&D basically, right? So it's going to have the same tropes as D&D. You're losing hit points and you're just a sponge.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it handled. We maybe bent it into the right shape, but I think it's a decent framework for a game, for a modern game, and yeah.
I think it works because we made some adjustments.
Yeah.
I mean, we added all of the cybernetic strain rules and the humanity and the crit thing. Like those were all necessary to make it work for the setting. I think we didn't do a lot with like hacking and like being in the
net running,
like being in the whatever they call it, the metaverse, whatever the fuck it's called. What the stuff we did was very cool. The final fight between Slashroot and Switch was very cool. Yeah. The scene in the apartment, like that was those were cool, and like I feel like you could expand upon the rules and make it a little bit more kind of comprehensive.
I think that was something I wish I had done. Been a little more granular on the rules for like one idea that I had that I didn't implement was that all your like intelligence, wisdom, charisma would be the physical stats.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yep.
But overall, I think it was a decent thing. It went easier to learn for us than Cyberpunk Red.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it comes down to us being creative about how like abilities work.
Yeah.
Being a reskin everything.
I think, and I felt it lent itself pretty well. I think I also wish I had maybe done a little more on the humanity mechanics. If we play this system again in this vein, having a little more clarity on what the rules are, what dice you roll, and how much you lose each time.
Yeah. Because when you have a low wisdom, you're basically going to lose humanity a lot more. And I forget how it works in Red. What you?
I think it's its own stat.
Yeah, it's empathy is the stat, and then you have humanity based on that. And I think you roll your empathy, and your empathy can go up and down based on certain like debilitations or whatever. But so I don't know if a seventh stat would have made sense for us. And it's just tough in D&D because it's so.
I'm pretty sure I said that.
Yeah, you did.
Started.
Yeah. But I just thought it would be too complicated.
But the problem is that everyday heroes, like your main attribute is such a big focus and it's so important. So having it be tied to any made up mechanic just makes it so that whatever attribute that is just too powerful.
Right.
And I think in everyday heroes, the wisdom characters are already very powerful. Surat is essentially a monk, but he's a wisdom character. And then, he just, because of being that character is just better at dealing with, cybernetics. It's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. How about you guys, Devin, Matt? What do you think about everyday heroes versus a different system in order to encapsulate Cyberpunk?
Well, I agree with John and Jake where it's essentially 5e. And we've played it, we know it, so it's easy to make tweaks to the system depending on things that we need. And it's sometimes it's stealing something that Jake did in his game, and we're going to add it into this one. Actually, we were talking about how Dan, you incorporated chase mechanics into like regular combat, which is really cool because we're like, in between the rounds of combat where we're fighting or running or whatever. We're trying to achieve a goal and we're using skills and different things. And that was a lot of the fun parts of those big combats was like the strategizing round where we all, just act in
thinking
unison.
What to do. Yeah. What to do next.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little more. I mean, the chase mechanics, I think we've played scenarios where it feels like you can get locked in and it's hard to know what to do in a chase scenario. And in other ways, I think it kind of opens up a combat and allows you the flexibility to not just point and shoot. What do you guys think? What do you regarding combat scenes and stuff like that? Because one thing that I do think about everyday heroes, what I thought was interesting is that they had a lot more bad guys to choose from than Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk has a handful and they're all pretty much just variations of cyber people. I was able to pull a lot more in terms of NPCs, but for combat, chase mechanic, lair actions, what do you guys think?
I love the chase mechanic in Everyday Heroes. And I think it's giving Everyday Heroes a little bit of a disservice to say it's just 5th edition. I think they did a lot of work to make it a lot more palatable, and more. I mean, I feel like the 2024 5th edition cribbed some stuff from Everyday Heroes, because there's some of that now where basically all of your abilities have effects no matter what. But yeah, the chase mechanic really does help you. It kind of has that Monster of the Week vibe, right? You're coming up with these scenarios to achieve objectives outside of just hitting a guy really hard, right?
Gathering chase points is like filling a clock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same sort of idea.
I think it was awesome, and I will probably use it in every D&D encounter I do from now on, honestly. I think it just... And it's similar to, we played around with a lot of different house rules trying to kind of make combat in D&D more interesting. And in Tangled Web, we did a very similar thing with the environmental effects.
Yep. For fighting the dragon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, it was actually exactly the same thing. It was like each round, it was a different environmental effect, and there were different like ways you could deal with it. And just putting like the chase points, and call them chase points or whatever. But there's I think it just makes it way more interesting. It gives characters who aren't necessarily good at combat things to do. It makes things unexpected happen that kind of change the battlefield. I think it's awesome. Yeah.
I think the chase mechanic was probably the best aspect of using Everyday Heroes for this. As for whether or not it was good for Cyberpunk, I think it was okay. I think we had to house rule it, so that by default would make it not the best. But I think also for our format and trying to do a show, Cyberpunk Red it's too much.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we haven't given it its fair due, but it certainly feels pretty burdensome.
Yeah.
In terms of, and maybe that's just because it's a brand new system. If we had been playing it for years and we were to roll up to this, it would feel different. But for us, the ease of stepping into the shoes of 5e was I think just too easy to pass up.
I think at the end of the day, the story, the characters, the way that we're role playing, those things are going to set the scene. And as long as the mechanics don't kind of get in the way, they're as long as they help facilitate and don't get in the way, then it doesn't matter whether it's Cyberpunk Red or it just comes down to it was more accessible for all of us, easier to kind of jump into,
especially for a DM. It had maybe none of us playing, but Dan had run a Cyberpunk Red game before. It probably would have been fine to pick that, but I think also being a new DM, the Red, and I think Red is a lot more difficult to DM than 5th edition. There's
a lot more bureaucracy. There's a lot more kind of in terms of combat. The armor values is on another level compared to the armor value and piercing value in Everyday Heroes. The big thing in in Cyberpunk Red, was also cover is critical in Cyberpunk Red, and covers all have hit point values, and it's very battle map.
I think it's a good system. I read through it when we were thinking about playing it, and I was like, oh, there's some cool things that I like about it. But you're right about the battle map, and it almost feels more like a crunchy like tabletop game than
I think the book also has the same problem the new Vampire book has. It's hard to parse rules wise.
The book is
huge.
The book is form over function. It's not laid out in a great way. There's a lot of pretty stuff, but it's hard to navigate.
I think just to kind of cap the whole chase mechanic, I would recommend anyone who's using 5th edition to use it and don't necessarily think of it as a chase, just an environmental evolution of what's going around the players while they're fighting.
One thing I was talking to Devin about this, and in Vampire there is this like rule of the 3 rounds of combat rule, where they're like, after like 3 rounds of combat, it's kind of just dragging it out to finish it. A lot of times, you know where it's going, you know where it's going to end, and it can get repetitive and boring. And I think you can kind of use the chase mechanics to do that as well, where you can say like the fight ends either when one side is defeated or when one side gets to a certain amount of chase points. Like you just end the fight at that point and
they give up or run away or whatever.
And narrate it like as a group, like, well, okay.
Or you just finish them off or whatever.
Yeah, you guys, the players have gotten to the threshold of chase points, whatever. In counterpoints, where you are victorious, tell me how you're victorious, and that could be really fun, right?
Yeah.
I think for key encounters, so like deploying the chase mechanics in a combat encounter, if you are going to only go 3 rounds and there's some cool boss monster that you want to extrapolate on and do some narrative fun stuff, it gives the GM space to do that in those. In those chase rounds and have stuff happen to the environment and all this stuff. But then, the combat still will only go 3 rounds, but you get much more out of it.
The evolving boss fight, right? Where you tell the players straight
Different
up.
phases.
You tell them straight up, like if they get 5 encounter points, then he goes to stage 2. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, overall, I think the humanity is an important part of Cyberpunk to kind of curb the characters in their adaptation of cybernetics. I think the strain mechanic was pretty good. The crit
didn't
mechanic,
stop Bugbear.
Yeah, I wish we had used a little more of the crit mechanic, but I think in a lot of times when people were rolling 20s, they were just killing people outright anyways. And I did want to do something maybe with stims, stim addiction, that if you used it during combat, you could run the risk of being addicted to it, something along those lines. Whereas if you used it out of combat,
you might lose some before combat or something because if you already stemmed up.
Well, stims for hit dice use was great. I mean, I don't remember whose idea it was, but it's awesome. It like worked so well,
It did. It made the combat feasible. I think
you could have I mean, as a mean DM, you could have been like, oh, you're out of hit dice. Can take another one if you want. It's sort of like your own personal threshold, right?
Sure. Or saying that stims you could only use so many hit dice. And then if you wanted to go beyond that,
there were several fights where we were like out of hit dice. I mean, I was absolutely, and I think if you wanted to do an addiction with stims, that'd be the way to do it. Be like, when you're out of hit dice, you may still stim.
I like that.
But I'm keeping track.
Right. The more you do it, the more you'll want to do it.
I think that would be another cool kind of twist on, because a lot of this is about the downward spiral, right?
Yeah. And I can't wait for who's this company that makes Everyday Heroes?
Evil Genius.
I can't wait for Evil Genius to like hire us to make the Cyberpunk
game
version of Everyday Heroes.
I will say the other part of it, I think, that isn't captured in Everyday Heroes is the economy and the struggle to make eddies, which I think part of the good and bad thing about Cyberpunk Red is that it's a bureaucracy, so it's a lot of tallying, a lot of you're dealing with eddies at a very finite level.
Yep.
Whereas in Everyday Heroes, you have a wealth level, so maybe you bump down your wealth level and bump it up or whatever. But we didn't really play besides Bugbear, but that was kind of a role play thing.
Yeah,
where he had debt and
Yeah, the financial side of it, as you said, is a very crunchy side, which is, I think, when we're storytelling, it gets in the way a little. At the same time, it can create interesting storytelling moments when you can't afford food for the day.
And if you're not on mic and you're just playing a traditional tabletop Cyberpunk game using Everyday Hero, then you can you can get more into the nitty gritty, and I think it is interesting,
Right.
especially since like, maybe it's not a giant overarching campaign. It's like you're taking a bunch of little jobs. And
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're actually haggling over the price, and how many eddies you get for a job actually matters to you, you know? And
Yeah, I was throwing kind of big, grand, like finish this score and you're done
Right, right.
scenarios at you. So
yeah, I think what you do is you put a starting kind of eddy value on each level of wealth.
Right.
And, yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah. And just use that for character creation, essentially.
I mean, I will say that I think Everyday Heroes is a great modern role-playing game. I think it's one of the better ones out there now.
yeah.
We've run it for another potential game that might come out, but yeah, I love Everyday Heroes. I think it's a great adaptation.
Very cool. How about you guys personally, whether they involved your characters or not? Any favorite scenes from the arc that you guys can pull up or jog your memory?
I liked the getting into Switch's apartment where Fish and Slash were in the net space, and we got like a little fantasy crossover with the Gorgon and the Hellhounds.
Yep.
I thought that was cool. And then on the outside, Mazzino and Bugbear, we were just fighting off like corpo goons. It was
smashing through walls.
Yeah, it was just
that
pure
was that.
chaos.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite scenes too.
That was informed because you had told me that Switch, like his big thing was hacking people's game systems, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I figured a security system run by him would involve that. And then, I mean, kudos to you, Matt. The fact that you decided to post up in another room was so important, because if all of that firefighting had happened where Fish and Slash were pretty much comatose, they would have just been shot like 1,000 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you had thought that all the way through, but it was pretty critical for the scene.
I mean, I thought like a gangbanger. Like, you don't post up at the crib. You post up down the street from the crib.
You know what's hilarious
So, like,
is what was it? I think it's the scene in The Wire where they're at what is it? What's that famous place? The Green Heights or
Cabrini Green.
yeah.
where the police finally discover that they've blown holes through all the apartments so that they can like move behind the doors much faster than they would have.
So
thought.
good.
Yeah, that's so. When I thought of the guys infiltrating, I thought they would do the same.
John, were you with me when we went to Chicago long
No,
time
no,
ago?
no, I
Accidentally
heard
walked by
that.
Cabrini Green?
No, I heard that, but no.
Accidentally walked through that neighborhood.
There you go.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you're
I'm
fine.
dark enough.
Yeah, exactly. You're one of us now. I think some of my favorite scenes were anything where Bugbear involved Smash. Those were just
I wrote down the cage. The cage was such a cool place because it was like, stuff happened at the cage. Like we had, we were meeting with people and, buying drugs, and then, but it was a place where we like partied and like regrouped, and like, that's where we met up. And then just like when I just took liberty whenever anyone was planning or they were talking about serious shit, was like Bugbear just could like fucks off and does whatever he wants.
Yeah, Cage was a great home base.
Yeah.
It was, and that came out of session 0.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we kind of already alluded to it, but the first group, the Four Horsemen, the whole heist at the Coliseum was so cyberpunk.
So
I could just picture it in my head.
Yep.
All of the scenes, the fight in the toilets,
Yuri up in the rafters
Yuri
looking through the window.
Yeah, you
at,
can see like that picture.
Yeah.
You could, the fight of Guro and Surratt.
And
so
just
good.
us like giving Switch so much shit. too.
Yeah,
So much.
So great. New guy. Come on, new
Gotta
guy.
give him shit. And yeah, the you guys having a run for your lives while the sniper just calmly packs up and walks out the back door.
It was awesome.
It's so good.
And then Surratt and Goro landed in like the ring.
Yeah,
They fought in the
fought
ring.
for a
That was
little
fun.
bit. Still gotta get that rematch in, right?
Surratt be dead. Yeah, sad.
Yeah, I think there were a number of them. In combat wise, I was really happy the way the aerial combat sorted out. Like you said, Jake, earlier at the top, I was very nervous about it. but overall, I like how variable it was, and the chase mechanic too, that gave everybody sort of the opportunity to do things. I think that's one of the things I always think about in combat is, does everyone have something to do? Because that can make the game really drag for someone if they don't, if they're kind of just out of options, out of, I think there was a couple of scenes I also really enjoyed was Bugbear's Descent, smashing the mirrors.
Oh yeah.
A few different scenes there that I thought were.
Oh, the crossbow.
That was so good.
You just lashed out. I used the humanity as like a narrative, like cue.
Devin, great work with that.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
It's my second character that has gone insane on the Instagram RPG
So
podcast.
Devin, I gotta say, like, I'm glad that someone decided to like just play a character that, because early on you were like, he is going to be a cyber psycho by the end of the game. So that was awesome, because that's such an important part of Cyberpunk. So having a character that was like on edge, that was like such a fucking, like powder keg the whole time, like, having to like kind of tread lightly, and it was really cool. Yeah, it was cool.
I wanted to show that when he was buying drugs from the dude from the synth coke dealer.
That was such a good scene. Poor guy.
It's just like it always felt like we've got this like wild animal with us. Like you could snap at any moment.
We need to account for this.
And it was great. And it's also hard to pull off in a way that doesn't like piss off the other players.
Right. It's abrasive.
But you did it. You did it. You did good.
Thanks.
I think we got a little bit of the foreshadowing in the tunnels with that other cyber psycho. Yeah, which was great, and that fight was crazy. I think all the fights were
had so many hit points.
Oh my god! But with the chase mechanic and some of them, like all the fights felt very challenging. And kudos to you, Dan, for encounter building. Like everything was. Felt unique. What didn't feel like it was a slog, and felt like there was some stakes to every fight. I think it was great, especially like I know Jake. Every once in a while, you felt like your like Fish didn't have anything to do in fight, but I think for the most part, we found something. I
always felt like at least in the chase part, there was usually something cool I could do.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of times where I felt like I had to kind of really think outside of the box in order to like be useful.
Right.
We can get into that. That is my only kind of gripe with the system with Everyday Heroes. But there were a few times, and part of me is like, I don't want to feel like I'm trying to be like a power gamer by being like, oh, can I do this weird thing? But it's like,
that's kind of your only option.
Yeah. But I'll say, as far as like the mechanics of Everyday Hero, I do think that when they come out with the new version, the int-based characters need a rework.
Do they need more plans, or do they need something else?
I think they need a cantrip.
Okay.
I think they need cantrip plans. They just and they need more plans. Yeah, like we house ruled. You let me take plans from every class. Sure. Which it seems like it would be so overpowered, right? And I mean, if I like tried to min-max it and do something silly, maybe, but I do think that just the int-based characters need a little bit of a rework. Yeah. Because outside of combat, they're like amazing and can do so much, and they kind of like overshadow people. Right. And then in combat, they're like, they do a couple buffs and then they sit there.
Slash had the like influence dice, and I think that's really cool that you have a pool of dice that you can use in different ways. And I think more archetypes should. Yeah,
they're a little bit more diverse because they can be used for like combat things. Yeah.
And they recharge faster than Genius Point.
Same thing with the wisdom characters. They have the focus, which can be used to like increase skills, or it can be used to add to combat abilities and stuff like that.
Dan, you had some. You pulled out some cool cyberware in some of the enemies. A lot of them were like unique and cool in like the ways we have to deal with different enemies. And you were talking about NPCs earlier, and how the ones in Cyberpunk Red are kind of simple. For Everyday Heroes, you could just find a template and then look in the vault and look for some cool cyberware, and there you go. You have a squad of. Even
more than that. Kudos to Everyday Heroes. They have like different genres of NPC villains. They have like the post-apocalyptic guys. They have the robotic guys. They have the cyberpunk guys. They have a number of different
zombies and vampires.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so not only was there a ton to pull from, but then I also, something that I've done in D&D games I've run too, is I'll see an ability and just take that ability and give it to them, or I reskin it as cybernetics.
Yeah.
And that, I think, made it feel much more diverse, made it feel
like the blood bag thing. It's just second wind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a cool like visual mechanic when you see them like powering up or healing, and it's something that other people can get to. You know, that was another thing we didn't really put a limit on or how to do that, was to get more cybernetics. But it's funny, the game feels long because we've been running it over the course of months.
It was like 3 days or 4 days.
But it was like a week's worth of time. So in reality, it would have been hard to probably add more. And even with the new leg and or legs, you guys had a pretty short recovery time. So
yeah, I think that's part of what is in Red, is that you're playing this game over longer periods of time, dealing with job after job.
Yep.
And the length that there are like downtimes where you're getting cybernetics or whatever, where we didn't really have any downtime at all. So
no, it was pretty much all go.
Yeah.
For the most part. Yeah. So I don't know. You guys have anything else? Good to go?
That last fight was great.
Yeah.
We'll see if any of our audience can follow it.
Yeah.
For us personally, it probably turned out okay, but for people listening,
I know.
Good luck, guys.
Everyone's playing two characters.
Yeah.
2.5 episode fight.
Yeah. It was. That's
right. It starts in. Does it start in 19?
Yeah. And
crazy.
I mean, really, at the beginning of 19, so it's pretty much a 3-episode fight.
Oh, the cooperative encounter building. I think you used it twice.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
And both times, like the first time, you totally ran with it because it really informed the entire like tunnel fight, the mines, the tank, the tank. Yeah. I mean, so
thanks, Matt.
It was cool. Yeah. Like, that was awesome. Cool to see like that so successful, and also for the last fight, like it had a huge impact.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's I would recommend that between those two things, between giving your players that agency to be creative and come up with some improv stuff, and the chase mechanics, so that you can flush out a fight a little more than just slack and hash. Slack and hash.
I like
slash and hack. Yeah. So those are two methods I suggest everyone give a go sometime. But otherwise, thank you all for making it to the end, for listening to our debacle as we came to our grand finale. And what do we got next? What's coming out next after Cyberpunk?
Great question. When is this? In the future. When are we right now?
When are we?
We're in the future right now.
Probably in
October, November.
We have 10 more episodes. Oh my gosh. 10 episodes.
Christmas episode
11.
next week.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, this is end of the year.
Yeah.
Devin might be right.
So
damn.
Yeah.
Happy holidays, fam.
Happy holidays, everyone.
In fact, we might get bumped even further because we might toss a Halloween one in there. You know.
Yep. Happy New Year to all you lovers out there.
Krampus returns next week.
Yes.
No, we need a new holiday monster.
A new holiday monster. Yeah.
Thanks, all. Good luck out there.
Thanks, fam.
Stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to Red Rising, a cyberpunk misadventure. Of course, we are forever grateful if you can leave us a review, or if you have a chance, share our stories with others, whether it's on socials, subreddits, a bullhorn, or a whispered secret. Check out our website for all your burning questions and eager updates. And don't forget, we have a separate D&D podcast because we're super nerds. Our intro music was a Wilhelm scream. The theme song is Neon Drifter by Antti Martikainen. All scores by Antti Martikainen and Data Soundscapes. Their YouTube channel is Spacewave CR. Check them out. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, hack the planet.
That's nasty.